Phillip Island wound up being all about mistake mitigation. The leaders were out as soon as they exited the first corner, and from there, the drivers who made the least mistakes seemed to be the ones who thrived. Knowing that, hopefully everyone's been getting their practice in here at Silverstone because they'll need it to be fast. Let's see who's put the work in as we get ready to watch round 5 of Flying Husky Racing, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Silverstone's old layout was around for quite a few years, but even still, we're now more than a decade into this new version. Let's head to our track guide to see what the old one once looked like. Welcome to Silverstone. Most famously known for being the first circuit to host a round of Formula One, this place has since become synonymous with British motorsports. Hosting everything from sports cars to touring cars to open wheels and even motorcycles, it's a track that fits a wide variety of vehicles. With 5 different layouts to choose from, you've got a little something for any level of racing. The longest of those layouts boasts 17 turns over more than 3 miles or 5 kilometers, so it can take a bit to get around it, even in higher-powered machinery. Its main characteristics are the long straights, swift corners, and general lack of elevation change. Its most famous set of turns is definitely the Maggots-Beckett sequence, in which anything with high downforce finds itself challenged with the rapid changes of direction. While there is a fair bit of paved runoff and quick corners like Copse and Stowe, the time lost from going off can be costly. There's a few turns with opportunities for overtaking, including Vale, Abbey, and Priory, but in cars with less horsepower, expect the slipstream to be where many attempt to get by. The Hangar Straight is perhaps the most notorious for draft battles to erupt. All in all, this versatile racetrack located just northwest of London provides both history in its roots and action on the tarmac. The huge number of British fans that typically attend events are seldom left wanting. DJ, it's a track that's seen all kinds of incredible moments in Formula One. We're going to add a few moments here today in Formula 3 cars?
Well, we very well might, Joe, and it is a relatively tricky track, even though this is the old layout, as you mentioned. Although viewers will be familiar with a lot of the key parts of Silverstone, really pretty much unchanged from Luffield all the way around to the Stowe corner. That Maggots and Beckett's complex, always challenging, always difficult, no matter what car you're in, is really going to catch drivers out, as well as the first corner. Now, that is in this old layout Copse. That almost flat out right-hander is going to require just a little bit of lifting off from our drivers. But good passing zones still abound around this circuit going into Stowe. We may see a little bit of fighting going into Club as well. And you could see a little bit of a fight going down into the bridge corner as well, maybe into Priory, but we'll have to see. But one thing is for sure, Joe, no matter what the layout is here at Silverstone, it always is going to throw drivers for a loop.
No doubt about that. Well, we'll take a look at the drivers in a second. First, we want to mention our sponsors. Norsled is a nonprofit animal welfare organization dedicated to rescuing, rehabilitating, and finding homes for unwanted, abandoned, and abused husky dogs. Today, every Flying Husky Racing track day or car event benefits Norsled with a portion of the proceeds donated to them. Even if you can't adopt, you can still help and ensure care for these amazing animals through your support. Save a Husky. For more information, contact Todd Curtis through email at todd@flyinghusky.racing.
Flying Husky Racing is a car club based in the Pacific Northwest that delivers premium track days and car events for automotive enthusiasts. FHR is dedicated to safety, development, and building community among members and participants. Find out more on the web at flyinghusky.racing. Flying Husky Racing. Track days are the best days.
And of course, let's take a look at the race details for today's event. We are at round 5, and they are in the Dallara F3. As we mentioned, they've got a 15-minute qualifying session here before they head off into a 25-minute race. They have fast repairs available if they get any sort of damage during the race, which means they can hop into basically a free, fresh car that is waiting in the pits. Right now, Michael Broomhead is currently leading the qualifying provisionally. Horvath is about half a second behind, but if the warm-up was anything to go by, he and Horvath were actually relatively close on time for that session.
Yeah, I think Nick just needs to find a good lap to put together, and there you see Broomhead trying to get a little bit of draft. Now, that is going to be very key, I think, in setting some good times around here. You really do want to maximize that draft going down some of these long straightaways as we now watch Todd Curtis getting his car out of those last corners, trying to see if he can set a first lap here today.
And as he crosses the line, yep, a 1:44.4. We'll put him into 8th position. We're only missing one driver to set a time right now. That's Tyler Scarali, who seems to have had an off track on his one flying lap. Showerman in 5th improves to a 1:41.7, actually almost 3 seconds quicker than his previous lap. So a big jump for the 11 car.
Yeah, and, you know, drivers here are semi-close as this is a very, very long circuit. It's a deceptively long circuit. We don't often think of it as one of the longer ones, but on the F1 calendar as it is, I believe Spa and maybe Azerbaijan are the only two that are longer. So Silverstone, a lot of ground to make up here.
You can see Dan Garber, who sits in 4th. So outside of that second row, trying to improve on a 40.8 as he comes around the last couple corners. The long right-hander of Luffield, and then it's flat out through Woodcut. Let's see if he can go any quicker as he crosses the line. No, 1:41.6, so he'll have to try again. And we've got Hans Salnev, who is going to fly off the course through the final turn, so that one's not going to count for him. Horvath and Broomhead are then going to cross, and Broomhead hits a 1:40.0. That is not going to be faster. A 42.2 for Horvath also is not an improvement.
Little bit of rumbit in the back there. Jacob Exton looks like he was not, or he was able to set a best time on that last lap of a 1:40.41, so good lap for him. Here comes Goldborn coming across the line, taking a little bit of liberty with some of those cones as he sees that'll be a slow lap for Harland, though. Little bit of off in the back potentially there as well out of John Showerman, but he's still able to wind up and set his fastest lap with a 40.5.
Takes him up one position. Curtis not able to go any quicker, which means we once again come back to Dan Garber out of Club and down towards the Abbey chicane. Hard braking into here. Could be a place where you see passes potentially during the course of the race, and then down through the last most technical portion of the lap.
And this actually is a bit more difficult than what you would see normally in the traditional layout of Silverstone. It's much more of a switchback section, but this is where it all gets to be the same. Left field virtually unchanged. It is one of the hardest corners in motorsports. It is just tempting you to get onto the gas pedal earlier, and you do not want to. But here comes Garber to the line, able to go about 4/10 faster on that lap.
Ooh, takes fourth back away from Showerman that time. So up next, Tyler Scarali. As he finally set one, no, he's going to start from the back of the field unless he can get a clean lap in here. Horvath himself struggling to get a clean one. That discounts as the very start of this flyer for him, but he did improve last time, has not taken the pole away from his teammate yet.
He hasn't, and Broomhead just getting faster and faster. He is now a full second quicker than Nick Horvath, so Broomhead very much setting down a good time here.
Oh, Broomhead is going to have to reset to the pits because he appeared to have some sort of incident there. So did Showerman, unfortunately. So this lap certainly not going to be quick. In fact, he's not going to be quick on the next one because he spun on the final corner. Todd Curtis comes around, struggling to keep the wheels within the track limits, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this isn't like the traditional modern Formula One circuit like you see where there's a lot of concrete runoff, obviously a lot of grass, a lot of sand traps off to the side, but it's just enough to tempt you off. You can dip a little bit over, and that'll just be enough to get you that 1X and invalidate your lap.
Yeah, Cops is definitely a big one that I can think of that's going to tempt the drivers wide for sure. As Dan Gerber comes out of the left field once again, back into fourth with his last flyer. Is this going to yet take him up higher? He hasn't got farther to go. Ooh, no, he is about a 10th off, but if he can make up half a 10th, he can overtake Exton on the inside of that second row.
Here comes Scarali trying to set a time. I don't think that's going to count for him as well. Oh, it did. It did count for him. We had a little bit of an error there. So Scarali finally on the board, able to get into a 6th place.
So that'll bump Solnov back to the last position now of our fields. He and Hawks struggling a little bit for pace today, so not sure if we'll see them off that final row. Jacob Exton side by side there for a moment with Don Gagné, and was not a quickest lap for Exton.
No, it was not. Now we're going to follow Gelborn as he comes across the line, able to improve by a couple of hundredths there. It looked like Broomhead still stationary in the pits. Hans, meanwhile, stuck back in 11th, unable to improve on that last lap.
Todd Curtis still looking to go quicker than that 44.4, 43.2 will do it. Will that take him up a spot? No, he's still an 8/10 of a second off of Goldborn in front of him.
And here again with Barber as he makes his way through that Abbey chicane, down under bridge and through the right-hander of bridge. That's a roughly flat-out corner if you can get it just right, and then has to wind it up here, slowly get it onto that basically double apex left-hander into Brooklands and back again through left field. Let's see what Dan has.
Again, only 59 thousandths of a second that he needs to try and overtake Jacob Exton, rather. Dan Garber brings that orange and blue machine across the timing line. That looks like a slow lap for him. He resets and gives it one last go, because after this, they're not going to have enough time to start another lap.
No, they're not. So there's Horvath coming across the line. He's going to have this as his final one here. Last couple guys coming across. Exton looking relatively close here. Let's see if Jacob's got the time to improve. He does with the 39.8.
And that puts him back into third because Scarali had overtaken him when we weren't looking. Gagné does not go quicker, so he gets one last try at things. Goldborn behind him in 8th, a 140.8. That's going to put him into 7th ahead of Don.
It is indeed. Here comes Hans Salnov coming through. Gonna try to be improving a little bit here, just seeing if he can bump himself up the order, able to improve his time by a little bit. Here comes Showerman. Showerman unable to improve, but he'll get one more crack at the apple here.
Sadly, Hans had an off track, so that one didn't count, though. Curtis also failed to set a lap that time. And I think last one, will we get the checkered flag for Hawks? And looks like he just crossed in time to start another one because that one didn't count for him, which means first driver to take the checkers is going to be Garber. He's been slotted all the way down to 5th now recently. He's got to find a bit of time, quite a bit more time than what he saw before. 3/10 just to catch Corollary on the second row as he flies through Woodcut and down towards the timing line. It is going to be a 40.393. That's faster, but only by a 10th. He stays in 5th.
Yeah, it's not the best there for him. Here comes Nick Horvath, seeing if he can beat his teammate's best time with a 39.3. He's going to be able to go faster, but that's not going to be enough to get to Broomhead. Exton having a little fun there, coming off of the corner. And now that's Gagne coming through the final turns as well. Let's see if that slowed him down at all.
So Don to the line, 42.210 becomes a 41.5. Oh, but the big jump does not net him a place, sadly.
No, it does not, but here comes Goldborn. Goldborn unable to improve on that lap. Here is Todd Curtis currently back in 9th. Let's see if Todd's able to navigate his way through these final corners. He's hoping to get up a little bit higher than that 9th place starting position.
He's got to make up a 1.5 seconds just to get into 8th here. It's a big ask, but not impossible as he rounds the final corner. It's close, but it does not count. He had an off track at some point during the lap. Hawks and Salnave are coming through and actually fighting a bit for position here. As looks like Salnave's going to spin it, so Hawks, the last one to be able to take a time. He's going to come through, has to improve on a 51.8, but he's already passed that, so this is not going to see him jump up positions. It did count that last lap for what it's worth. Okay, so our qualifying is done for the day. Going to be round 5 here for the Flying Husky Racing drivers, and it was certainly some tough racing back in Australia. Hopefully with a little bit more runoff in places, we'll see a few fewer drivers getting damage here today. Let's go through our starting order. It is going to be Michael Broomhead, who starts on the pole with Nick Horvath starting in 2nd. It is Jacob Exton in 3rd, followed by Tyler Scarali in 4th. Dan Garber inside of the 3rd row will be flanked by John Showerman, who will begin in 6th.
In 7th will be Harlan Goldborn, followed by Don Gagne in 8th and Todd Curtis in 9th. And then making up the back of the field will be Gene Hawks in 10th and Hans Saldney in 11th.
Going to be a rolling start for the drivers, so waiting for them to take their pace lap around behind the Porsche pace car. It is somewhat cooler conditions out here today, so I have to imagine, DJ, they'll probably want to do some focus on getting the tires and the brakes all warmed up.
Most certainly, especially with that fearsome first corner of Cops. If they are on especially cool tires, that is going to be an absolute no-grip corner, and I would not be surprised if we see a driver or two spin off a little bit there. Driver's going to have to be very, very careful as well coming through that next sequence of corners, the always tricky Maggots and Beckett's complex.
And don't forget, if you want to get involved in the conversation, use hashtag #TrackDaysAreTheBestDays. And the Flying Husky drivers and fans will certainly love to join in and talk to you about what's been going on in the series this season. As they come through Maggots and Beckett's, this is going to be a real test, especially here in the sim, DJ. We don't talk about it as often, but especially these S's sections. I feel like they're so much more difficult in sim racing just because you don't have those G-forces.
Very much so. It is one of the hardest sequences in real life. And ooh, I believe that's somebody off in the back already. We've had somebody having a little bit of an off there, able to get back on the way. But yeah, Joe, it is so incredibly difficult, and really the only way you can fully feel it in the sim is if you've got your force feedback turned all the way up. And I can tell you the first couple of times I went on this track, I didn't have those settings exactly right. And well, it looked like I was lifting weights when I came back downstairs.
So that was Scarali, who was off track briefly. And for some reason, Don Gagne has gone into pit lane. So Hopefully the 10 will be able to join us for the start of the race and be able to exit the pits. We come down towards Vale. It was not quite as sharp in this format, but still pretty tight, so should be a chance for the drivers to attempt to pass. And then the long run out of Club towards the portion that has changed the most into Abbey, where they will turn the opposite direction.
Yeah, exactly. It certainly throws you for a loop when you're used to looking at the new layout, but on this old one, it still really does present a challenge, and really and truly does also present a good overtaking opportunity if you're able to get that good run off of Club going down into Abbey. It's pretty much a 90-degree left-hander, so pretty heavy braking zone that we can see some good passing in there potential.
Getting close to this race starting, 25 minutes that they'll have to compete. Last time into the first corner, which was also a swift right-hander, Horvath and Broomhead came together and wrecked each other. Neither wound up winning the race in the end. We have another very fast right-hand turn at the start. Will they be able to keep away from one another? They at least have a lot of paved runoff to help out in this case, as the Porsche pace car leads them around Luffield. Broomhead will have control soon. Will he go quickly, or will he check everybody up? Pace car is in. Broomhead waits. He's giving it a little bit, making sure everybody's together. Green flag is out. It's a decent start. He's got to run over his teammate, but behind him, look at this. Here comes Jacob Exton. He's going to try to look to the inside, down into Cops. He's going to get his nose in, side by side for the lead. Someone in the back goes a little bit off the course, but it looks like Exton is going to be our new leader.
That was a mega move there from Jacob Exton, showing absolutely no fear. And now, Joe, they come in already. The leader's running a little bit wide there.
Big hit between Broomhead and Horvath again. The two of them come together this time, and the Maggots-Beckett sequence. This is going to promote Scarali up into fourth. Garber is into second. Showerman runs third.
A very, very unfortunate coming together, but that's what happens when you try to go too wide through that complex on cold tires. It was bound to happen, Joe, and it has.
Those two are probably going to have a few words after this one, I'm sure, with that happening twice now after starting on the front row both times. But Exton is making good use of his clear air. He's already 1.1 seconds ahead of Dan Garber. Showerman behind him running third has promoted himself from sixth on the grid.
Yeah, it's a really good run there for Showerman, just keeping his nose clean here in the early stages. Still has a lot of time left to run. He's going to have his work cut out for him, though, as I think Garber and Exton ahead of him are going to put up one heck of a fight.
No doubt. We're watching from Showerman now, seeing the two leaders in front of him getting ready to lead the first lap back around. Ooh, Scarali with another spin behind him. Don't need to go to it. He's going to get back onto to the track and return in, well, maybe farther down because he spun a second time after that. But your lead is Exton at the front, Garber second, Showerman runs in third. Curtis promotes himself up to fourth from a ninth place starting position.
That's a really, really good run for Todd Curtis. Once again, as we saw last week, Joe, it's all about damage and incident mitigation here. Todd Curtis playing a very, very heads-up drive here today as he makes his way through Maggots and Beckett's.
That's not mistake mitigation. He's going to catch it, though. Great job keeping that from going completely around. He falls to fifth. Goldborn now is up into P4.
And we're going to check back in on our leaders here. This is Jacob Exton making his way through that Abbey chicane. Dan Garber keeping him honest, about 1.7 seconds behind. Now, that is out of the effective draft range of these cars, but rest assured that Exton will know he's there and it will not be able to make any mistakes.
Well, and we saw it last week as well. Drivers who had a clear lead just took themselves out of contention. It was rare that it was an overtake for the top spot. Looks like Gene Hawks, unfortunately, has gone around into Vale. Let's take a look here. Talk us through it, DJ.
Well, there you see, comes down into the braking zone, just carries a little bit too much speed there into Vale. And that's just a situation, you've got too much speed trying to make the brakes do too much. I think those rear brakes locked up ever so slightly, and that's what sent him spinning around.
So he falls to 8th because of that. And Goulbourne has had a spin as well, I think into Priory. Yeah, this is a self-spin for the 127. He gets it back on track in 6th. Don promotes himself up to the top 5 now.
Yeah, Don having a good run here, but he's going to have to be careful. He does have Goulbourne down his throat a little bit here if he's not careful, but he does have Todd Curtis ahead, only about 1.7 seconds up the road, so Gagny's going to have his sights set on that number 72 machine.
Much like last week, we now have a fight back for our front row, Broomhead and Horvath. Now, they haven't made a whole lot of inroads. Both of them had to stop into the pits for their spare cars. Broomhead has worked up into 9th, and he's got about 4 seconds to get to Gene Hawks after his mistake. And then Horvath is still back in dead last and has nearly 20 seconds to try and catch up. I think we had a pass for 6th, though. And they're side by side coming into Vale. This is Scarali, who is going to try and get this spot back. This is with Goulbourne. Goulbourne is going to take the outside as they come out of club, but this will give him the inside into Abbey. He tries to squeeze him down and give himself the widest turn in possible. That's going to seal the position. Goulbourne does get 6th now.
Yeah, and Scarali there, you saw him try to go for that over-under move, but falling afoul of the curbs there, so not really working. Very, very good defense from Goulbourne. Oh, but Goulbourne runs wide. That may open him up as they come through Brooklyn. Scarali certainly thinks so. Goes for a wider line coming through Luffield, but not able to get the power down quite as he'd like, and now Scarali runs wide.
Scarali loses a great opportunity to fight back, and Goulbourne now pulls away. And up at the top of the screen, our viewers may have noticed that Exton is not sitting on his laurels. He has set the fastest lap of the race and already put himself 3 seconds ahead of Garber. There he is on screen in the number 3 from 3rd on the grid appropriately. And ever since he overtook that lead, he has not handed it back yet.
No, I think Axton really and truly just wants to get as much distance as he can between himself and Garber. Just give himself some breathing room, and he's certainly doing it here on the opening stages of this lap, Joe. Already up 0.6 of a second on Garber.
So unless Dan is maybe holding back a little bit or just acclimating to the track, it's not looking like he is going to be able to catch up to Exton. Of course, you never know. We saw the lead be handed over multiple times back at Phillip Island. We're on board with Dan Garber. Why don't you talk us around a lap here, DJ? Tell us what it's like trying to race at Silverstone.
All right, well, we start out here in Luffield. Now, as I said, this is a corner that makes you think you want to get on the power early, but you have to wait. And now you are flat out here through Woodcut, lining it up as well as you can. Get over to the left side of the road and start to prepare yourself for cops. You're only going to lift off ever so slightly. No braking at all. Take as much speed as you can through the corner. Now it's back again to the right side of the track and get ready for Maggots and Beckett's. Through here, these first 2 corners you can take pretty much flat out, and then you have to start feathering the throttle. When you get up to Beckett's, you may need to trail brake ever so slightly before fully being back on the power through Chapel. Now it's the blast down the Hanger Straight. It's your first real moment on the track to take a breath and breathe. Maybe check your gauges, figure out where everything is before you get ready for stow. It's a faster corner than you think it is. You want to carry a lot of speed in there, take a good amount of that exit curve to try to maximize your speed. Now, get ready for Vale, over to the right. Hard braking, get down to that apex on the left and try to narrow that corner as much as possible. Again, swing the car wide out of club. Let your momentum carry you to the outside of the track. Get ready again and slowly start to drift the car over to the right side to get ready for this Abbey chicane. Hard onto the brakes, get it right down to that apex, use all of the curbing, and you're flat out through that second part. Now, under the bridge, and you're flat out here through the corner. Then get ready for the tricky complex. start to wean off speed through Priory, and now again into Brooklands. Hard braking, down, hit that apex, take the curb, and line up for Luffield. Bring it back down again, lift off, wait, and get back onto the throttle, and that is a lap around Old Silverstone.
Fantastic stuff, and Exton is making it look easy. Now, back in fourth place, Todd Curtis was being caught by Don Gagne, and suddenly, whoa, as there's a battle happening and a spin now behind him. Tyler Scarali getting a little too ambitious on Goulbourne, and he pays the price.
Going to jump back to check out the replay here of this, Joe, and it looks like you're right. Scarali just took too much speed again into the corner, and that's what caught him out. Diving down to the inside of Brooklands, that's a good move, but I think he locked up there, and it just caused him to spin around, asking those brakes and tires to do just a little bit more than they could in these Formula 3 cars.
Also, what's been happening since we were watching that onboard, Broomhead took the fastest lap by 3 whole tenths, and Exton just snatched it back by another tenth. So those two looking quick, and Todd Curtis gives away the spots that he was holding on to. Unfortunately, going off the track, he falls to 6th. Gagne does in the end get 4th, but for how long? Because here comes Goulbourne. Down to the inside, early braking for the 10, and the 127 car is back up to 4th.
Yeah, I think Don there read the writing on the wall, didn't want to fight too hard and wanted to live to fight another day, so he'll hold on to 5th place for now, as Goulbourne's going to try to start to see if he can maybe do anything else, but he's got a long road ahead of him, as John Showerman is a whole 20 seconds up the road.
Yeah, that podium basically have disappeared, and looking very similar to what we saw back at Phillip Island, in the sense that the top 3 are there a real deal, because they essentially are keeping it pointed forward and running their laps and not trying to hustle it too hard. As we continue to watch Goulbourne weave through the Brooklands and Luffield section back to the main straight now. He's able to pull away from Gagne, so now that he's overtaken the spot, it seems like he is ready to scamper away and keep himself out of range from being repassed. I don't know about Curtis and Scarali, though. Those two look like they might have the battle erupting once again.
Ooh, they do. Tyler Scarali lurking behind Todd Curtis here, getting ready, but he is not going to want to try to make a pass here through the Maggots and Beckett's complex. That is not an area where you want to go too wide. Just ask your leaders at the start of this race.
So he's just going to follow in line, but Scarali is going to get a nice tow here. He's about 0.3 of a second back. He knows it. He stays right in the tire tracks of the 72. Follows him all the way off to the left side of the track. Will we see a defense from Curtis? No, he's going to leave the door open. Deep on the brakes. Oh, he gets in front, and there's contact between them. Scarali holds it together. He'll get the 6 with his elbows out.
He will indeed. It looks like Curtis may have picked up a little bit of wing damage, and you can see out of the back of that camera as well. Yes, he did pick up wing damage. You can see it there on the right front, well, his left front.
Yeah, just outbraked himself a little bit, maybe lost some of that down into Vale. Whoa, and a lot of spinning in front of Scarali. That's Goulbourne and Hawks. Hawks is a lap down, but Goulbourne gives Scarali a position.
Does indeed. Let's go check out the replay here on this to see what this was. Is that, again, just an issue of taking too much speed? And I think he clipped a little bit of the curb there. Hawks, I think, just lost sight of everything in that smoke, and whoo, very lucky there to get through.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain I saw Goulbourne dip a tire into the grass, and that caused him to lose traction. So that'll send him back to 6th. Scarali climbing back forward. He started in 4th, so he's nearly back to where he began this race. As we watch him work his way towards the Beckett's sequence once again. Don Gagne now within his sights, could potentially grab 4th place, and Don is being held up by Salnave, and he's going to be very slow off of Chapel. An easy pass with better momentum for Don. For Scarali, puts him into 4th.
Don trying to fight back a little bit here. Whew, got very lucky, put his left side tires out onto the grass there. Very lucky to not catch more of that. Good heads up there for Scarali. And I have to say, with Salnave, not really anything he could do there. If you are slower coming through the end of Beckett's and that, you can't really get out of the way. That's a one-line corner.
Absolutely. As we continue to ride on board here with Don. He's not given up on it. Credit to him. He's watched multiple people make mistakes in front of him and give him spots back. Unfortunately, it's not been enough to keep him on the podium, at least for now. 11 minutes left in the race, so we're past halfway. And it is still Jacob Exton leading with Garber in second. And, you know, it's not that far between Garber and Showerman, about 1.7 seconds. But we'll take a look at seventh because it looks like Broomhead has finally caught up to Curtis. Another spot on the plate for the double aughts.
Oh, and what a brilliant crossover move there for Michael Broomhead. Just sold a little bit of a dummy to Todd Curtis, let him take the early approach into the corner, crossed him over, and gets ahead by the time they get to Cops. Todd Curtis there just trying to psych him out a little bit on the inside, but Michael Broomhead having absolutely none of it. A textbook maneuver for the 00.
So let me take a look at the lap times now that that battle is done between Garber and Showerman. It looks like Garber a 41.6, 46, 40.5. Showerman 41.2, 40.5, 40.3. He is gaining on him. He's closing down on second.
Yeah, he really, really is. And it looks like Showerman specifically has been able to gain some time over the second half of the lap. That's really where he's getting it. And I think specifically in this sequence of corners right here, coming through Brooklands and Luffield, he's really been able to gain some time. On this lap alone, he's already up 0.3 of a second.
Still has to make up more than a second to try and overtake him. They've got space behind them. 27 seconds back to Scarali means that they are free to fight and not have to worry about who is going to catch them. But there's only 10 minutes to try and do this. Can Showerman close the gap any more than he has?
Well, he's going to have to try to. Falls back a little bit here through Maggots and Beckett's. Not exactly able to keep it together, but he's out of effective draft range. Gap comes down, though, to about 1.3 as they get on the straights.
I think he'll feel a little bit of that toe, probably, just pulling him along. Let's keep the cameras here, but I also want to point out that Broomhead has snatched the fastest lap back and did so with a sub-39 lap. A 38.977, the only driver to do a time in that range so far this race.
It's a very impressive run from Broomhead, and as we are saying for the second consecutive week now, Joe, what could have been for that 00 driver had he not gotten tangled on the first lap?
Let's see, how far is he back from the leader? 45 seconds, which is about half a lap. So he's a good distance behind considering the length of this race, but still not doing too bad with having to have a unscheduled pit stop during this event. Showerman, who we see on screen in the green, white, and black, has cut it down to 1 second now. So they're going to cross the line. Last time through was Garber's personal best, and he doesn't improve upon that. It's a 40.4. Showerman with a 40.1 also improves on his personal best.
Let's jump back in the field, though, because Harlan Goldborn is also making a good charge on Don Gagne here as they come through Brooklands, lining up for Luffield. Let's see what Harlan can do.
Oh, and Broomhead is right behind them. This is going to be a 3-car fight, so this is going to get spicy as they come down through the final turn onto the front stretch. Good slipstream for Goldborn. The 127 is reeling him at a rate of knots, but he drops away in the dirty air through Cops.
We're going to jump on board here with Michael Broomhead to see what he sees as they make their way through Maggots and Beckett's. I'm thinking here that Harlan Goldborn, whoa, was that a move around? Was that a slow car?
Not entirely sure, but Michael Broomhead is definitely going to be having better speed up the hangar straight. He's got the inside. Harlan Goldborn doesn't defend. I almost thought he clipped the grass there, but he sends it in deep and keeps Michael Broomhead at bay, and now gives himself a shot at trying to attack on Gagne. He's once again very good on the binders, and both of them are going to overtake the 10.
That was a mega move from Harlan Gelborn. I did not expect that in any way, but goodness gracious.
Ooh, bad news for Showerman. He was within 0.3 of Garber, had a little contact with Hawks, I think. Yeah, Gene Hawks just made a little bit of contact, and so that dropped him back. I'm hoping the car doesn't have too much damage. That could rob us of what was going to be a great fight.
Unfortunately, Joe, I'm looking at him now, and it looks like he's got a little bit of left front wing damage. We got to focus back on this fight, because that's Broomhead trying to stick it around the outside of Lovefield, trying to carry momentum out of the corner. Is he going to have a look going into Cops? I think he might.
He's got better speed, and I don't think he has to take a look. He's going to have the position before Cops. So Goldborn has to settle back into 6th. Broomhead climbing up to 5th. 7.8 seconds to get up to the next driver. The one that I believe he actually had contact with, Corollary, on that first lap.
Indeed he did, but Michael Broomhead putting on a clinic right there. That was an epic run through Lovefield and Woodcut for him. Now he's got some clean air in front of him. He's only got about 5 minutes to try to close that 7-second gap down to Scrolly ahead of him, but the way he's been driving, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
I'm looking back at Showerman, and yeah, I think you're right. I think that damage was pretty costly. It's up to 2.2 seconds. But at least it looks like he should be able to retain a 3rd place as long as he doesn't make any major errors. Scrolly's still 24 seconds behind him. He's quicker, but not enough to really be able to hunt down a podium finish.
Oh, is more problems for Harlan Gelborn here as he's had an off on the circuit, just a self-spin. Able to catch it, no real damage to that car, but another incident. This was, I believe, going down into Abbey.
I think this is Vale. Yeah, that's into Vale there. And just turned the car around and then has further trouble trying to get it going. Eventually, he did get it pointed the right way, and the 127 is down to 8th place. Curtis gained one, and he just chucked it off the course. Absolutely gone there coming through Brooklands. Exton has only got to retain the lead for 4 more minutes. And let's see, that's just coming out of Club, I think. Yeah, down towards Abbey. So he is going to get 3 laps to go, I think, this time by.
That should be about right, and he's got that gap up to about 10.2 seconds right now, so plenty of breathing room for the Canadian driver here, and comfortably faster than his compatriot Dan Garber. His fastest lap is about a whole second faster, and he has been consistently running about 0.7 of a second faster a lap.
Take that back. This might be 2 to go as he comes across. Yeah, I think this is 2 to go, actually. For him. So next time through, he should get the white flag. Heard a car enter the pits. I think that was Goldborn, yeah, because of his huge incident down into Brooklands. He is taking a spare car, and then we'll be back out and running.
And as Exton continues to pile it around here, I mean, once again, just an amazing drive from him, being able to keep his head at the beginning of the race and then just absolutely weave his way through some traffic. We've seen him have to come through some slower cars on the circuit, and he has done just a spectacular job.
Let's also give credit to Dan Garber. I'm looking through his lap times. He has been the model of consistency, everything between 141 and 140s this entire race. I'm not seeing any sort of errant, huge off tracks. And though he was being hunted by Showerman, he withstood the pressure, forced John to be the one to have to suffer from damage and fall away. And as long as he can continue to cruise and put these consistent lap times in, he's going to reward himself with a second place.
Indeed, and as we've seen, this track is no easy beast to master, so kudos to everybody who's been able to drive a clean race from here. Keeping an eye back here as we continue to watch these drivers, as Exton, I believe, is getting ready to take that white flag.
He is indeed across the line for the number 3. One more to go. Garber now takes the white flag himself. Behind him, still being trailed by Showerman, but it's up to 3.2 seconds. Then we got to wait quite a while before we get the next one passed. Unfortunately for fans of Michael Broomhead, unless we get a spin out of the 999 car, I don't think that Michael's going to be able to make any more inroads.
Yeah, Joe, I've been keeping an eye out of the corner of my eye for him. He got a little bit held up by lap traffic, lost about a second and a half, and that really just kind of blunted his momentum. I think he's pulling back the pace ever so slightly.
Broomhead's an interesting case, too. He actually paints helmets professionally for drivers in the real world, and I can tell you they are quite beautiful. Does some fantastic work. Unfortunately, today, not going to help him get to the top of the podium. In fact, Jacob Exton, who's looking like he is going to stand atop that podium, has only 4 or 5 more corners to go.
Indeed, he is. Just a few more, comes under bridge, gets it ready for that left-hander, that double left-hander coming in through Priory again and ready to go. He has driven a near faultless race, Jacob Exton, and he's got one more corner until he takes the checkered.
As Jacob Exton rounds the final hairpin out of Luffield and to the line, victory from third on the grid for the number 3. And behind him follows Dan Garber, who definitely deserves a round of applause for a fantastically composed drive to a second place. And John Showerman, oh so close, but still can get a nice podium finish with third.
Yeah, very good drive there from them, keeping their noses clean. Little farther way back here for Tyler Scarali, just waiting for him to cross the line now.
Broomhead, to his credit, has cut it down to about 5 seconds here at the end, so he never gave up. He continued to push on Tyler, but Tyler's going to get 4th and Broomhead in 5th. That leaves us for only our last 2 to cross the line on the lead lap, Gagne and Curtis. So we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel while they finish up. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Silverstone. We just watched round 5 of the Flying Husky Racing, and it was Jacob Exton who wound up taking the victory. In fact, he just about snagged himself that win from the very first corner as he made an impressive move to take the lead. He was 13 seconds ahead of Dan Garber in the end. It was John Showerman who finished in third with Corollary in P4. Michael Broomhead was fifth, and Don Gagne finished sixth.
In seventh was Todd Curtis, followed by Nick Horvath and Gene Hawks in ninth, with Hans Salbna rounding out your top 10. And Harlan Gelborn, who put in a great race but had a couple of mistakes, came home in 11th.
That takes us to our winner for the race, Jacob Exton. Jacob, congratulations. I have to ask, though, you made that move right at the start, down into Copse to take the lead. When you started to drift your nose in, did you have full belief that this would work?
Entirely no. Obviously, Mike, I know, is obviously really, really quick around the track. So I was trying to get ahead just to give myself a bit of an advantage while we're on cold tires, and he had to hold back. But you never know if anyone's going to turn in or not. Luckily, he's pretty respectful, and I managed to keep my speed down enough that I didn't run into him.
Well, it certainly gave us quite a bit of excitement at the start. From there, it looked like basically just kind of tried to keep your pace up, and it served you well. Nobody challenged you throughout the entire race.
Yeah, I got lucky. There was contact between Michael and Nick. I think they unfortunately got hung up on the first or the second lap there. So that gave me a little bit of a buffer and broke the toe. And from there, I was just managing the gap, trying to maintain a good pace. And yeah, really happy to pull off the win again.
Awesome stuff to watch from our perspective. Heading off to Okayama, a track that many iRacers on the roadside should be familiar with. Do you think he can repeat?
Oh, yeah, I'm always confident going in. I really enjoy these cars, and having a fixed setup takes a weight off my shoulders and makes it all about driving talent. So, like I said last point, there's a new sheriff in town, so I think I backed that up this week, boys. So best hand me the badge pretty soon, right?
Absolutely. I like that confidence. Congratulations. And who would you like to thank for this victory?
I'd like to thank my girlfriend Shayna for letting me get into bed at ridiculous hours in the morning after I race on this. So thank you, honey. I love you.
Well, hopefully she'll get to watch that. It was Jacob Exton, our winner here today. It looks like, unfortunately, don't have anybody else in our ready for interview rooms. We're going to close it out with a few thank yous to our sponsors for the series. Of course, Norsled, Save a Husky. For more information, contact Todd Curtis through email at todd@flyinghusky.racing. And Flying Husky Racing. Find out more on the web at flyinghusky.racing. Flying Husky Racing. Track days are the best days. Thanks to companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June LaLotte, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support the channel, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. Link is in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race will be at Okayama Tuesday, May 18th at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.